I want to again thank Chief Goldstein for the partnership and all of our other county governmental agencies that have assisted us in helping to keep our community safe. I know there have been a lot of concerns in regards to the community, a lot of questions, and we are hoping that media members can also help us get out the word and clarify many of the misconceptions that have been that are out there, and maybe answer some of those questions that people still have in regards to this pandemic crisis. The first thing I wanted to address, I know it's that late yesterday afternoon or early evening, Dr. Travis Gales, our public health director, put out an order in regards to wearing masks by all of our community members. And I want to make some clarifications so people are clear that there are no criminal penalties in regards to the issues in regards to any enforcement of those particular that particular order, and that the community itself, the community members, there are no civil violations on their part that are attached to that order. I know there's continuous talk from the county council that there may be pending legislation, but we will wait to see what that the result of that is. But as it relates to Dr. Gale's order, that the police department will not be enforcing any of that. As it relates to, it will relate to grocery stores, I know to retail establishments that are open, and as well as to like some of the larger stores such as the Targets, Walmarts, or Home Depots. I know that we're highlighted as the types of stores where there's the expectation, and we look for voluntary compliance of our community to actually have masks out in order to help prevent the spread of this horrible virus. The second thing I would note in response to the governor's orders on our folks to stay at home, the stay-at-home orders, as well as not congregating 10 or more people. We are still actively receiving calls on the folks who are aggregating 10 or more people, not at an alarming rate, but I will say that the vast majority of our community members are voluntarily complying whenever we are encountering those individuals in different scenarios, and our officers have replied back to us that people have been very cordial in their responses and understand the need to comply with the governor's orders. As it relates to the stay-at-home orders, again, we are just asking the public to continue to comply with the governor's order. We are, again, not actively looking for individuals who are ignoring the order, such as by randomly pulling people over on traffic stops. We're not doing that, but we will say that during the time frame of when we are conducting regular police business, such as calls for service, maybe on traffic collisions, or maybe during a traffic stop for a traffic violation, we will ask the question of an individual's personal business of why they are out in the community on our streets. And we will look for an answer that complies with the governor's orders. If the answer does not comply with the governor's order, then we would again voluntarily request that those individuals return home. So we have had, again, no issues with that in that regard. As it relates to our police department, I want to commend the employees of Montgomery County Police, particularly our officers and all of our frontline employees that are coming to work every day and responding to this community in a way that they are answering the calls for service, being readily available. We are doing what we consider to be social distancing at our best in order just amongst our officers. When they come to work every day, we are doing virtual roll calls, making sure that they have the information readily available. And I just want to commend all of the staff and the officers that are out there doing this work on a daily basis, putting in a lot of time and hours to help keep our community safe and help to create a safe environment for our police officers and community on each and every day. Will report out that we have had to this day, we have had 4 officers who have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. I'm to say that out of the 4, we've had minimal contact with other employees, and that the majority of those employees who were contacted have returned to work from a quarantine status. Also, of the 4 that have tested positive, 1 has returned to full duty and is doing fine. And as it relates to our staffing issues, I want to assure the public that our staffing, we have officers that, again, who are reporting every day. We have very minimal leave status reports that are impacting our service in any negative way. It's been very positive, and we are prepared that if officers on our front line, our patrol officers who are responding to work every day, would actually have this disease or be confirmed but positive, that we have the backup, a backup plan of officers readily available to come in and assist and still be able to be our frontline first responders to our community, answering 911 calls and the regular calls for service as required. I will say, when it relates to calls for service, we have had a reduction in calls for service, about 25% across the board consistently. But that I will report out that though that has occurred, that crime is still occurring, that we are still having issues with domestic disturbances and domestic violence calls. That has raised a lot of concern on my part. And I want to say to the public, and again, I understand that in many cases that are because of the stay-at-home order, that more people are confined home than probably ever before, and spending a lot of time with the family. And then we understand that sometimes disagreements can occur. But I would suggest to folks that if you really feel as if that you're not, your situation is going bad, there's going to be potential violence or disturbances in your family, I would encourage you to call the necessary resources. We have our Family Justice Center that can give you some resources to call and some counseling opportunities to have somebody talk to folks in order to eliminate sort of the disagreements that might be occurring. And I know this is a tough time. We understand financially the economics, the impact that it's having on families, and other issues that could negatively impact you. And we understand, but if you do need us, we are here for you, and we're providing some of those services to our folks and resources to people who feel as if that they are having a disagreement that can't be settled. But at the end of the day, we really would like to see our domestic disturbances and violence calls go down, and for the most part to protect our community. There are other crimes that are still occurring, not at an alarming rate, but we still have a concern for robberies as well as burglaries that are occurring in our community, knowing that business establishments are closed, and our officers are fully aware and paying attention to this. We are still, in some cases, we are still making arrests as it relates to some of these crimes that are occurring in our community. And we are going to still investigate victims who have been impacted by some crime or another. We want to let our victims know, we want to let the community know that we are still here for them in order to assist them in any way.